Hello, and welcome to Page Turners, a bookish podcast. Each week we choose a different book, and then we come together and we talk about it. Think of us as your book club goddesses. Each week you can read along and berate us for our wrong opinions, and cheer us on when we get it right. Fair warning, here be spoilers. That's Liv.
And that's Amy. And then he said, that's Liv. Because
it doesn't sound right.
How are you?
Good. Fresh in the morning, feeling good.
Yeah, for all the listeners at home, it is 20 to 12 on a Wednesday morning.
On a Wednesday.
Amy arrived here at like 10:30.
Mm-hmm.
How's it taken us an hour to get here?
It always does.
Well.
We had to get a cup of tea. We had to get set up.
That is very true. Yeah, no, of course. And now that we're on TikTok, we've got to do plenty of TikTok content. So
not
follow
us on TikTok, though.
Yeah, follow us on TikTok. Page Turners Pod. There's nearly 100 of yous, so
if we could get to 100 by the end of this episode,
we'll give you nothing other than our love.
We'll just be really happy about it.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, that's it. You're fulfilling a lifelong dream of us getting 100 TikTok followers.
Which is something I never thought I would say. So here we are.
Well,
things are changing.
How is the house? I mean, obviously last week everyone was very excited to hear that you've gotten into the house. How are we,
We're in. We're living in the house. The house is good. There's still work to be done. There's still tradespeople to be visiting us and doing bits. Internet goes in today. Woo-hoo.
Yeah.
So we've had to watch quite a lot of just normal TV. I was going to say terrestrial TV, but I don't think it's called that anymore.
Is it not?
I don't know.
Oh, I would have always associated it with terrestrial TV.
Well, that's what we've been watching.
Can you? I mean, this makes me sound like I don't know anything, but can you still get Freeview?
That's what I thought it was now called.
Right. Okay. So it's not just channels 1, 2, 3,
no,
4, 5. Because
no.
I was like, whoa, that's so boring.
That's really boring.
Freeview is like what is now the standard.
Yes, I think like ITV2, E4, those are now.
God, we've come up in the world
standard. Yeah,
just as a whole nation.
Mm-hmm.
Just no longer 5 channels.
So yeah, I think maybe about 50. So I mean, what more do you want?
What more can you complain about, really? Jeez.
That's been that, and I'm very much looking forward to the internet coming back.
Excellent. To be fair, I've been texting you and I've been watching it one tick, and then I'm like looking at it like, can it go to 2, please?
Is it going to get to her?
And then it does, and I'm like, oh, brilliant, now Amy just has to see it.
She's moved to the one spot in her house that she can actually get a good internet signal, because the 3G, 4G is not great. We have discovered, this is gripping content for the listeners, that the mobile network that we currently use, out of all the mobile networks, is the only one that doesn't work in that area.
No, what mobile network is it?
3.
Oh, okay. That's fine.
How have you been?
Yeah, not bad. I've not really done anything really. Still healing from this tooth, but I'm still not eating on that side. But I'm eating foods that are a bit more solid than an Nesquik now. So
that's improvement. Although that soup you made the last time I was here was delicious.
Thank you. I'm making it tonight because my mum and dad arrive tomorrow.
Yay!
And we've not cleaned a fucking thing. Our guest room, which is our sort of laundry room, all the laundry's out of it, but it's just a fucking shithole.
Well, you have made progress by taking the laundry out of it.
We did that on Sunday. We were meant to clean like Monday, Tuesday. It's all going to have to be tonight.
But isn't that always the way?
With Alex and I, apparently, yes.
With me and Rudy it is as well.
Oh, well, that's nice to know that we're not the only people.
No, when we have visitors, we're like, right, we've got a week. So we've got plenty of time to get everything sorted. We've got 2 days. Maybe spend the next we have a couple of hours. They're here.
Yeah. Shut the doors.
Yeah.
Throw in a grenade. It'll look better. Yeah, no, we've also got to do food shop. But no, they're spending Easter with us.
Yay.
Not that we celebrate Easter in any way, other than thank you for the bank holidays, Jesus.
Yeah, we're exactly the same, but you still have big Sunday lunch and stuff, right?
Yeah, my mum is bringing the turkey that she brought at Christmas, and then she brought a load of turkeys and then froze one.
Nice.
For Easter.
That's very mum. That's a very mum thing to do.
And look, I hope that it never... That makes it sound as if I hope she never dies. Like, I don't. I hope she doesn't die. I mean, but then also the crippling... heaviness of immortality is probably going to weigh on her quite a lot, but I never hope that I have to succeed her into that position where I have to then buy extra things to think about that. Cause
you don't want to take on that that role.
First off, I don't have the money to do that,
Mm.
and secondly, I also don't want the responsibility.
No.
So I'm happy to have her here.
You're a good host, though. I would say you do you enjoy hosting?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do enjoy the social element of it.
We are the same. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we actually quite like doing a big food shop at Christmas time and then
Yes.
buying all the things that maybe up to that point you're like, oh no.
Yeah, and then you get to post Christmas and you're like, fuck's it, I've got to eat that entire little chocolate house thing that someone's bought.
No.
After a while, does it not get... don't get me wrong, I could eat the savoury lot after Christmas until I was sick. The turkey, the ham, the pies, the quiches, but not necessarily the choc.
I'm not really a big dessert person anyway.
Yeah, hey guys, grip and stuff here.
I know.
Grip and stuff. Are you savoury or sweet? That's what it is.
That's the big question today.
Amy, what are you currently reading? Very quickly before we move on.
Okay, so I am reading The Frost Queen's Blade by Meg Smitherman.
Excellent.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's early days, but it seems very up my street, and I'm looking forward to it.
Nice. For followers of the Instagram, Amy mentioned that as one of the books that's currently on her bedside table.
Oh, I did. I'm getting through it.
You totally know.
I totally remember. No, I'm just impressed that I'm getting through things, because normally I have a list of things to read and then I just end up picking something that's nowhere in that list. I'll watch one video or I'll see one post and I'm
that
like,
looks good. Yeah.
I can't read that now.
Yeah, no, I completely
Mood
understand.
reading.
The books from the floor now populated the TBR and it's all behind you and it's kind of scary.
Mm-hmm. Don't make eye contact. What are you reading?
I'm rereading at the moment because we were in between books and I thought, fuck it. So I'm reading one of my all-time favourites, We Were Villains by ML Rio.
Mm-hmm.
It's about a bunch of kids that go to like a sort of elite drama school.
Ooh.
And the teachers purposely change up the rules for their sort of year and you watch the character dynamics and the power and the social dynamics shift. Then there's a murder. And,
that does sound
but
good.
you know about it at the start, so you go all the way through figuring out and you get like past shots and like time. Oh, it's so good.
So good. Shall we get into today's book?
Let's get into it.
So Liv, what are we reading this week?
Lovely of you to ask. This week, Amy, we are reading Godkiller by Hannah Kaner. Wah, 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 wah. Just for you, Hannah. Long time listener.
Shout out, Hannah.
Back in the arms of fantasy.
How do you feel?
Safe.
Mm-hmm.
Home.
Yes.
Warm.
Especially after Flicker in the Dark.
Yeah, it was an okay step outside of the comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
It was fine, wasn't it? It wasn't anything too heavy.
No. But it just was. It's just different from fantasy. So did it feel?
So much.
You maybe would have read fantasy between times. Had you?
No, I went straight from Flicker into this.
Into this. Oh.
But no, it was nice. Read to escape, man. Fantasy worlds.
That's what fantasy does so well, I think, for me. As soon as I'm like settling down with a fantasy book, open it up, see the map, get into the prologue a lot of the time, and I'm just like, settle down, get my cup of tea, we're back in fantasy.
You're ready.
We can forget about the real world for a good few hours.
And what a map to look at.
What a map it is.
I always think that fantasy books, or books in general, that have a map, not non-fiction, but no offence everyone.
Everyone.
Anyone that reads non-fiction. The book's better with a map. It's always made better.
I think that more books, not just fantasy, should have a map.
Yeah, I'd like to see a lot more sci-fi books with maps, and almost like a map of the solar system that obviously exists in their world. But yeah, no, this is smashing and a really nice one to look at.
Really easy and not that big. Like it's not a map that spans lots of different countries, would we say? Islands? I don't know what we're calling them in this case. But
we can call them whatever we want, it's our fucking podcast.
But enough to give us a context of where everything is in relation to the bigger picture.
Yeah, of course. I only tend to use the map at the very beginning when, in classic fantasy you're getting a bit of an info dump, you're trying to figure out where everyone is and sort of being like, they're here, they're here, they're here. So I spent sort of the first few 20% of this being like, oh, Kissin was from here, but now they're there, and Elogast was here, and now he's there, and Inara's there,
Yeah, totally. But do you get to a point, because I certainly do, where maybe I'm kind of 50% in, 60% in, and a new place is introduced? Do you then flip back to the map when you're that far in?
Yes.
Yeah, me too.
I wanna see it.
Yeah, me too. I want to visualise it and think, right, okay, we're quite far away from home, if you like, or they've travelled quite a far distance.
Yeah, the quest.
The quest
which,
element.
Of course, this has a great quest in
Classic quest.
Quite a small quest, actually.
I like that, though.
In terms of, like, group
Yeah.
But also, aim, I suppose, as well. They've got one place to go. It ain't Frodo carrying the ring, thank God.
I liked that it was almost like a kind of wish fulfillment quest, right? They all had a wish. They all had something they wanted to ask of the gods.
Yes.
And it kept it nice and succinct.
Yeah, no, that's a really great, yeah.
It was and I don't mean this in a bad way, it was a simple quest.
It was a simple purpose, for sure. Yeah,
uh-huh.
no, I understand what you mean. I don't know. Yeah.
Sometimes when you have too many motivations for the quest, it becomes a bit difficult to...
It becomes a bit messy,
piece it all together, yeah.
And I think it was really obvious from the beginning, even when they started on the pilgrimage as a larger group, and then obviously that became just the three of them, or four of them, if you include Skedaseth. Yeah, it was always really obvious that they were going to go and parted from that pilgrimage. We
had our main characters.
Yeah.
And I think that was very strong. So I don't think, I wasn't under any illusion, I don't think you were either, that we were going to have any other characters getting to the end of the quest with them.
I wasn't sure that this wasn't going to be a big group event and then they'd split off, but I wasn't surprised when they were cut off by the river.
When the boat kind of carried them away.
Yeah, when they didn't get there in time.
Yeah.
Sort of thing,
like, okay, I can see where we're going now.
Not much of a loss.
Not really.
The support characters were great.
Yeah.
And, the older women and the couple.
Yep.
Were great. Nice little characters, able to bounce off of things and people. They were needed to be in there to cover the whole group. It needed to be there, and they were great.
Well, there had to be a pilgrimage element to it, and that meant there had to be pilgrims. So I think that adding those pilgrims in added something. I didn't really feel that disappointed when they didn't continue to the end of the quest.
But I did like that we got to see them again at the end.
Yeah, that was nice.
And they helped them again. And,
that was really nice.
Obviously, in terms of quests and fantasy, those two go hand in hand quite a lot. Do you have a particular fantasy novel that you're like, yeah, love that as a quest?
I think it's got to be the big one, isn't it?
Is it LOTR?
It's got to be.
Got to be, yeah.
It's got to be. It's
that,
up there.
That is a quest. It's like a capital Q.
And that's the kind of quest that I like.
Yeah,
when
like
I just
epic.
think I'm in it, it's going to be pages upon pages. There's going to be so much action, so much character development. Love it.
Oh, I cannot recommend The Belgariad to you enough by David Eddings.
Yeah.
It's just behind me.
I can always see it because when I sit, it's always in my eye line.
It does have your fellowship element, your 9 characters or something. It's not exactly 9, but there's a bunch of characters and they all come from different places and they all have a common goal. And it's fucking brilliant. The dog is named after one of the characters.
Yeah, I know.
So,
I can see that. Bolgara the Sorceress.
There she is.
Right.
It's not that I'm not a huge fan of Lord of the Rings. There's just a lot in there that I don't think...
It's not an easy read.
I don't appreciate it, perhaps. Maybe I would appreciate it more reading it now. So
I read The Hobbit when I was really young.
It's a gateway drug to Lord of the Rings.
It is. And it was easier because obviously it's a bit more standalone. But Lord of the Rings is not a book that I know it is for some people. It's like their comfort read and they can read it again and again and again. It's an undertaking.
The Belgariad is that for me.
Okay.
So maybe I've only got one room in my life for an epic quester.
Maybe.
From that particular time period. Moving on. We both love a quest.
Love a quest.
Sometimes do get very tired of listening to travel talk, which I think Hannah does really well to keep fresh. They do stop off at different places. You do get to see other things rather than it just being a drudgery on the road for weeks on end.
Yeah. It's great. No, we do. We get the quest element without the quest element becoming dry. Yeah. And I think it's very easy for questing to become quite like, what else can possibly happen?
Should we talk about the setting?
Yes.
Midrin and Talisa.
I'm going to say soft sea.
We've done soft seas for everything else. Why not continue this? Yeah, so we start in Talisa very briefly.
I always said Talisian,
yeah.
I always said that.
That was coming off of my mouth as well to describe what Kissin is. Yeah. So we start with Kissin and her family, and we're then straight away right into the idea of gods.
Really,
the law.
Strong introduction.
How did you find the setting? I know setting is really important to you.
Very important to me, and I was never in the position when I was reading this book that I couldn't picture where I was, what the characters were doing. I think it was really well written, descriptive, but without being flowery, very immersive. I was never out of it. I felt in it the whole time. This did that very, very well for me, that I always kind of knew where the characters were, where I was, and it felt like a world. Like
Yeah.
when you opened it up, you were like, right, I'm in this world now.
Yeah,
Mhm.
brilliant.
Yeah.
I mean, I feels like there's no higher praise there.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, absolutely smashed it.
Yeah, but you're not a big, not, I wouldn't say you're not a big fan of setting, but setting, I would say, isn't really what you...
It doesn't hold store with me
No,
as much.
no.
Like, I'll let a lot of people off with a less immersive setting.
Yeah.
Character holds me. And, I mean, not yet. It's not time yet. Not jumping the gun.
Mm-mm.
In the next bit, we'll talk more about that, because these are some lush characters.
Oh, yeah.
The lore of the world. So, ultimately, you have a fantasy land
Mhm.
that, in the prologue, we know that they worship gods. And there's gods of fucking everything.
I really liked that.
You like that there was a god of everything.
Yeah, I really liked it.
The little god in the little mouse god, the god of
Yeah,
broken sandals.
know,
Oh,
it's
in
just so
towards the end of the
sweet.
book. Oh, so cute. It gave me like Pratchett vibes. Have you ever read any Terry Pratchett?
No, I don't think so.
That's fine. There's a particular one called The Godfather. The Godfather.
Mhm.
He did not write that.
That's Terry Pratchett.
The Hogfather,
Right.
which is very Christmassy.
And as there are gods for everything.
Yes,
Love
basically they create gods just by willing them into existence.
That's kind of similar to this, right? So gods need humans.
They come
humans need gods.
when they're needed, yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly, and there's that parallel there.
Mhm.
Whereas I think definitely in the prologue we get a lot more of a reliance upon the gods. People haven't woken up to, which I think they probably have in Aaron's time, where they realise that it's more of a give and take rather than, the gods are so
Yes.
magical and stuff, they need you just as much. I don't think people have figured that out as much when we first meet Kissin.
No, I don't think the gods don't really want people to know that, right?
Exactly, and that's where we get zealots.
Yes.
And I fucking love a zealot.
You do love a zealot.
I love a zealot,
Why?
like, because you just create some of the best. They don't always necessarily have to be villains. They are so devout in their belief, and you come out with some of the most psychopathic characters because they'll do it unshakable in their faith,
Yeah.
and they'll do whatever it takes,
Mhm.
and they do a lot of shit.
Yeah, they do.
I also love watching a zealot have their faith broken, or
Mm.
having and watching that crisis of faith and seeing who they become afterwards. Brilliant.
Love a zealot.
Love a
So
zealot.
you're all in.
Not in real life,
No.
only in books.
Only in fantasy books.
Yeah, too much badness outside, that's why we read. But yeah,
Mhm.
the gods. You've got new gods and old gods, but the old gods are like the classic ones of the sea,
Yeah.
of the land, and that's who Kissin's family
Mm-hmm.
worships.
Whereas you're not worshipping the god of broken sandals.
No,
Oh, why
but
not?
I would. He's so cute.
Little cutie. But as you say, you've got the big gods, the big players,
The big
and
boys.
the classic gods.
Yeah. And then we have the entire rest of their village
Mhm.
burning Kissin's family because they have found faith in a new god, Seth,
The
the
Seth.
fire god,
Fire.
who then comes back into it later, and I can't believe I didn't see it coming. Well, I knew that Kissin would face them, but I didn't anticipate how.
I didn't think that Aaron would have anything to do with it.
Oh, what a red flag from that bastard. What red flags from that bastard that I just missed. His being the cool king.
Do you know, I think because up to that point the characters had all been so, and I'm going to say this word and you're going to think I wouldn't describe her as wholesome, but they were they had strong values.
Yeah, strong values is the one, because they all appeared as if, but also honest.
Yeah.
In their own perspectives,
Yes.
in their own POVs, sorry.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, this is how I'm feeling, and they pretty much say what they think.
Yeah. And they don't kind of hide from one another.
Other than Anara, who keeps her
Nara.
secrets, but
Yeah.
fair.
And also, I suppose, Elo to an extent, right?
I think it's very obvious that he is not just a baker.
No.
What does Kissin say? I'm a baker. Yeah, and I'm a fucking grapefruit. It's very obvious from the author. You cannot
So good.
hide.
Such good dialogue in it.
It's brilliant. We can talk a bit more about that in
Mm.
character. But then the rest of Kissin's family are burnt. Her father offers his life to the god of the sea for her safety, pushes her out into the sea.
Cuts
And
her
then-
leg off.
Because it's trapped, isn't it, under the thing? He doesn't just cut her leg
No.
off for the fun. Anyone who hadn't read the book would be like, fucking hell, he cuts her leg off. Why?
It's such a brutal...
It's under the knee, isn't it?
Mhm.
And we get straight into that disability rep,
Straight away.
which is just incredible.
Mm.
The fact that Hannah talks openly about, Kissin using different methods, like her staff, the
Mhm.
prosthetic leg, the wheelchair.
Wheelchair.
We've got, is it Tell and Yotho?
Yep, I think
Tell
so.
is in a wheelchair as well.
Just tell you sign language.
Yotho is deaf.
Right, okay.
They all use sign language, but yeah, Yotho is deaf, I think.
Right.
And I could be saying it wrong as well. Sorry, guys. Tell, they're the blacksmith type, but they
Yeah.
make the prosthetic.
Yeah.
I love that straight away. And obviously you've got Elagast with PTSD.
Yep. Yeah, really good representation.
Oh, and the queer rep as well.
Mm-hmm.
Mwah. And more of that later.
More of that. We're coming back to that in a big way.
And then we just get Kissen straight in 15 years later as a Godkiller. She is tasked and has now been, by royal decree, patronised. Because before, we sit in very two clear points of the story of the narrative. The beginning, when the gods were revered, and now when revering the gods is illegal.
Yes.
And Aaron, Elagast's sort of sire, friend, king, is the only one left of his line, and he has outlawed gods completely.
Yeah.
And
now we have god killers who are almost like bounty hunters for gods.
Yeah, witches, if you will, you know?
Yeah.
And then Kissen meets Inara, who is bound.
Another really good scene.
Oh, so good. The bar fight. Everything.
I love how all the characters came together. I thought those were some of the strongest scenes.
You could see it happening almost. You could see the threads. You saw Inara walking into the bar and you're like, Kissen's in there.
Yeah.
And then you see them going, oh, there's a pilgrimage in Lessica.
Lessasa? I don't know.
I think maybe that's a hard C.
Yeah, okay.
Who bloody knows? Oh, there's a pilgrimage going from Lessica. Ah, we already know Elagast's on that pilgrimage. Perfection.
Really, really good. And not too soon. I think it took a while till they all found each other, and that felt very organic. Didn't feel like, oh, okay, we've introduced a character, we've paid lip service to that, tick, 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 let's get them all together.
We're 10% in. And especially considering it's quite a short book, you would expect that to happen quite quickly. It's just shy of 300 pages.
It was very masterfully done for how short it was. I mean, and then we know that books are relative. We know that that's not short for everybody. We appreciate that. But when it comes to a quest and an epic fantasy,
absolutely,
you're looking at what, 400 or 500 pages.
Just look at the first Lord of the Rings.
Yeah,
you know, look at Fellowship of the Ring. I mean, comparison to that.
Is the next book longer?
I have no idea.
Because that'd be interesting, because that's another fairly standard thing that happens in fantasy, right? As the story continues, the books become
longer.
Bigger.
Maybe. But then I think there'd be scope to, because this one is quite short. I don't know how long Sunbringer is, but we'll find out.
We'll find out.
You'll never know, though, guys. You'll never know. I mean, you can look it up yourselves, but like...
We might do it on Patreon.
Stop putting things out on Patreon. We'll have to do all of Black Sun after that as well. Back on, let's talk about the end. Incredible. I didn't see it coming. I didn't see Aaron being there. I didn't see him manipulating Elagast to give him his life, to give him the power of his Seth.
We knew there had to be an antagonist, right? And we weren't sure who the antagonist was, because there was someone that had put a curse on Elagast. Yes. And the shadow demons were following them, were being summoned, if you like. Yes. As a result of the curse.
We thought then it was perhaps the rebellion who had burnt Inara's family house to the ground. And let's not talk. Is her mother dead? We don't know.
But she thinks that her mother has been murdered by...
What is the cardinal rule, though? If you don't see an identifiable body, they can be brought back. And I wouldn't be mad.
No.
I'm desperate to know who her father is. We'll talk about character in a minute, sorry. What we really need to talk about is probably also the fight scenes.
Yeah. I loved them. I could have imagined it actually scored to music.
Ooh, yeah.
It was that good.
The final fight scene, let's talk about that, against Kissen and Seth. It's just locked in. You see her roll towards the cliff and you're waiting for it to happen and you're like, come on then. Let's consume this fire god in water and you can go and fuck yourself.
It was so satisfying.
And it breaks me that Elagast and Inara think that she's dead. I love the references all the way through to the fact that she hasn't used the gift, the wish that her father's given her. It's branded on her chest. She told him to go fuck himself when she was younger, and it's all been leading up to this moment. It's almost fated.
And we know as a reader, it's going to be epic when it is finally used.
And she decides not to give up in the ocean, to go back.
I love they think that one of the characters has died.
Yes, because that reunion in the next book, like,
it's gonna be so good.
The emotion.
This book did angst so well. It was like, the Elagast Aaron scene at the end. So good. The scene where Kissen and Elagast were talking about, like, he's going to go and sacrifice, and when she finds out his reason for going.
Straight away, before it's even, so brilliant. Her intuitiveness as a character and, like, how that brought across the screen. More character, who cares? And how ultimately there was this whole, within the quest, there was all these characters' journeys that were then either changed. Elagast no longer a knight because he's lost his faith in Aaron. And Inara knowing that she needs to step up and finding out who she is. Kissen realising that she just can't not give a shit anymore. She has to start giving a shit.
And she does.
Banging. Let's get into it. Characters.
I mean, every good quest really relies on that strong cast of characters, right?
Oh, 100%.
And did we have a cast of characters in this one?
A nice little succinct bunch kissing.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's fair to say that we both love a strong female character in a book, right? Who doesn't?
Yes. And especially when they're justifiably a badass.
Mm-hmm.
There's too much fantasy for me, and don't get me wrong, I'll cheer behind any fucking strong woman. There's too much fantasy where she's done half an hour's worth of sword lessons and suddenly she's a master swordsman. But like, Kissen has a reason to be a fucking brawler, and she looks like a brawler as well.
Love that.
She isn't like this stunner, but also
No.
I loved seeing her from Elagast's point of view.
Yeah.
I felt the attraction instantly.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And it was just so hot.
It was so hot because she was like strong. She was rough. You know what I mean? There was nothing polished about her.
Nah.
Which there shouldn't be because she's like this badass Godkiller. What age was she?
How old is she when they're burned? So because that's 15 years. So she's, what are we talking? Maybe 30. That one night after 11-year-old Kiss and Walk to Smoke. So she's 26.
Fine. Still fine. At least she's not, I don't mean, there's nothing wrong with it. If they're 18, 19, whatever.
Kissen wears the brutality of her life on her, and it shows in how it's shaped her as well, and so it makes sense for her to be
a bit older,
disenchanted as well, and just, you know, the only two people she cares about other than Legs the horse, who, I mean, star and role, it's Toffee Apple Chew of the of the Godkiller universe. Little shout out for my dad. My dad wrote a porno there, but I really loved. Hannah gave us a character that in Kissen that is not feminine, not, you know, gentille.
Oh no!
But just getting a little multicultural there, but has a heart and cares so much, and has like such loyalty to those around her. So strong in her convictions. Yeah. Absolutely knows who she is as a character. Yep. And isn't magic. Just is strong within herself. Yeah. Through years of training.
But I love that. Yeah. It's a hard-won strength that she has because she's had a horrible start and she hasn't crumbled, and she, as you say, it's almost like galvanised her, hasn't it? And
yeah. But she does struggle as well. She's not infallible.
And quite a vulnerable character, right? And
I thought it was really important that Hannah showed us her struggling with her disability as well. It's not just like, she's got half a leg but she's unstoppable. You know, it was done so beautifully of like the pain and like the phantom pain, showing that it's a reality. Yeah.
And it is painful and it is extremely difficult, but she's still absolutely badass.
We have to talk about her relationship with Inara, because obviously straight from the off, it's, you know, we mentioned in the last section, in the second section, that everyone goes to Blenraden for a reason. Yeah. And in actual fact, Kissen really doesn't. Kissen has nothing to ask.
No. So when Inara came in, which I think was maybe chapter 3? Well, if we don't count the prologue as a chapter,
it's quite early.
2, right?
It's quite early.
How did you feel? Because we just had this badass scene of her being introduced as a Godkiller. Yeah. We knew it was multiple POV because it had her name. How did you feel that it was a child?
Well, obviously, I don't tend... Anytime I see a young kid, and what are we thinking is Inara about 11 or 12? Yeah. About the same age that Kissen is, we assume, when she...
I thought there was kind of parallel there, yeah.
I was like, oh, fuck's sake. Kids can go one of two ways. Whiny as fuck and they're the worst. And the second way is the way that Inara is, and is actually still very much a child, but is great. I thought she was a great character. Yeah, I loved her. And she comes under her own strength, and she has her own set of morals already. And what I loved about her is the way she's written as this character whose mother doesn't really have a lot of time for her.
No, but she really strives for that approval.
100%. How did you feel when Inara came into it?
Disappointed to start with, to be honest, because I was so into Kissen. Yeah. And we'd had her kind of, not POV, but we'd had her as a big character for that explosive prologue, that amazing first chapter. And I was really interested in the whole Godkiller aspect. And then we were like, oh, okay, we're with someone else now.
Did you think that Inara being young would slow that pace? You know, we would lose that explosiveness.
I just couldn't imagine it having as much depth, which is terrible, but I just didn't think about a child's POV being that deep.
No, and I think...
and relatable, but it was. I totally related to Inara as well. Yeah. And how scared she was and how much she was striving to get approval from her mother, but she still knows who she is, and she's very young, but she's strong in her convictions as well. Yeah.
I tell you what scene I loved. I loved when is is it Leska where they all live, with Yotho, Tel and Kissen? They're doing the hand speak, and we know that Anara knows it.
Yeah.
And she's watching them, and they don't think she knows until she replies.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, go on, girl!
I know.
Yes, I fucking love that element in a book where one character, you know, it's the classic, like, when, I don't know, say if you or I were fluent in French, I would love to have people behind me speaking in fluent French, slagging me off, and me being able to understand every word. And then, I don't know, I'm on a bus for some reason in this scenario,
mm-hmm.
and then I get up off to go to the bus, and I turn around and I say in fluent French,
fuck you.
Yeah, something like that. Something, you know,
something more eloquent, perhaps.
Yeah,
yeah. No, I know.
Something more witty. In my head, I'm really witty, and I walk off.
But we're
like
so
a
witty
scarf.
that we can't even think what we would say in that scenario.
No,
totally get it. Got off the bus and like big mistake, huge.
Pretty Woman moment for sure.
Mm-hmm.
That and it just gives me a little thrill every fucking time.
It was really good.
Kissing at the end that you promised. Going throughout the book, the promise she gives to stay with Anara, to not leave her, just really beautiful, really, and such a wonderful relation. It's nice to talk about relationships that aren't romantic.
Totally.
Because I love to see relationships that are full of love.
But it's a platonic love.
Yeah. Because in my opinion, some of them are so much more powerful.
Oh, yeah.
Onto Anara herself, very quickly, and her little rabbit antler companion, Skedaseth.
Mm-hmm. She's bound to the god.
Yep, the god of white lies.
And they can't be... They're tethered together and they can't stray away from one another too far because it causes each of them physical pain.
But then obviously we see throughout the novel them being able to stretch a bit further and a bit further as they almost become their own people, I think. It's
almost the element of kind of accepting it, isn't it? And understanding each other. And once they have that mutual understanding and that mutual respect of the other and of them kind of getting to know themselves as an individual, they can stray a bit further from each other but realise they maybe don't want to be apart.
I think when he overtook her, I was shocked for her, and I was so glad it didn't go on longer than it did. It was, we're looking at 1 or 2 chapters tops.
I actually thought, oh no, I hope it's not going to be that Skedaseth is actually a villain. Oh no.
But again, giving us well-rounded characters where, the god of white lies, everyone thinks, oh, it's fine, white lies are nice. But then showing that those white lies, the more and more you use them, the more and more you rely on them, the more harm they can do.
Yeah.
I thought his sort of character development in realising who he is, because obviously he's lost all of his memories, and his realisation that no matter who he was before, this version of him now loves Anara. And, like, he will protect them. And his hatred of Kissen, his hatred of her, just turning into admiration and respect because he realises how much she wants to protect Inara.
Yeah, they have that kind of understanding there, don't they?
And Hannah plays on that contrast to the beginning of Elagast, who is this knight of honour, and Skedaseth's like, oh, that's the good guy. Whereas you've got Kissen, who he's like, that's the bad guy, the sort of ugly, sort of like, killer. And she says so many times, I don't kill people. I don't kill people. I kill gods, and I only kill gods that take from people. I love that line. I'm sneaking into Elagast a little here, but I love that line when he says, unlike Kissen, I do kill people. Just tearing us asunder.
They're so well... The cast of characters is just so well-rounded. There is absolutely zero cliche going on. You never get, oh, could you write that character? Could you sum that character up in one sentence? Probably not, no, because each character takes on multiple different roles throughout.
And they're so wonderfully complex, whilst also being obviously human.
Yeah, yes, and so attainable. Like you're not reading it thinking I could never see myself in that situation, or I can't possibly relate to that because it's so out with the realms of possibility for me. Well, maybe you can't relate to the fantastical element of it, but the actual situation and the feelings they're going through, totally relatable.
Elagast.
Yay!
Everyone's favourite Baker Knight.
Woohoo!
He was so funny.
So funny, yeah.
They're the way they played off of each other, all 4 of them really were just very funny characters.
Great dynamics.
Such good dynamics.
Like a lot of sass, a lot of banter.
I hate the word banter. I even hate when I say the word banter, and I know there's no other word for it than banter, but I'll hear banter and I just go, oh, stop it. It's my moist.
Oh, is it?
Apparently.
You discovered that today.
Just right now, in this second. You're on this journey with me, guys. We'll get through it together. Anyway, sorry, right. I loved the way, because it's been done before, you've got a man who is a knight, who is like, you're a big tough knight, but then he's also into delicate things.
Yeah.
But I think
Like, it wasn't just added in there as like, right, okay, what can I, right, okay, he's a knight,
He
he's
needs
a knight,
depth.
and he needs something else.
Yeah.
So he can, like, baking. No, you actually felt like he was a baker first.
Yeah.
He was really still very passionate about baking. Like, I loved how he was just baking ad hoc throughout. Like, he would just whip out his little mat and start making flatbreads. So it's like, yeah, we need that on a quest.
And the way that he used it to ground himself.
Yeah.
I'm making the flatbreads, I'm here, everything's fine, I'm baking.
It's a bit like that thing where the mindfulness activity of washing the dishes. Like, if you want to be grounded mindfully, then when you're washing the dishes, you should only ever just be washing the dishes and be in that moment. And I think he gets that with the baking, doesn't he? Like, he's not, it takes away all the distractions. He's just physically experiencing the sensation.
Yep.
And as you said earlier, PTSD representation.
She's got it all. She's put it all.
She has.
She's crammed it all into a book under 300 pages.
I know.
I keep saying it, guys, and I know that we keep hammering on about it, but I cannot explain to you how rich and full the story is in such a short space of time.
There was times when so much had happened, and I was looking at the percentage at the bottom of the Kindle. I thought, right, how far am I? And I was like, oh my god, it's only really changed like 5%, and so much world building and character development has happened. Incredibly written.
Cannot get over that this is a debut
Novel. Yeah.
Part of me wants to say fuck you, Hannah Kane, but also, you know, you're a nice person, so I'm not going to say that.
Mm-hmm.
Right, Elagast and kissing.
Oh, so sweet.
So, like, passionate, and the scene.
I really like the fact that it wasn't traditional enemies to lovers.
Yeah, no, I would never really call them enemies, to be fair.
No.
Like, they're just different people.
Different people. There's never any point where she's going in there thinking she's going to have a romantic relationship.
She's not there for that. She's there for the mission. She's there for Inara. Mm-hmm. She's focused on it. And he just happens to be there.
Yeah.
And he takes her by surprise.
So cute.
The scene where Inara says, I think Kissin says, I know I'm ugly or something. And Inara says, you're not ugly. You're beautiful or something. And Skediseth laughs, because he can tell obviously that it's a lie.
Mm-hmm.
And Elagast says something along the lines of, she was beautiful. And I was just like,
I loved the parts where you saw her through his eyes.
Yes.
The really delicate moments where I think he sees like the sunlight playing in her hair, like her eyes like change or something, and it's just so poetic. And how it is, isn't it? Like, when you're in that relationship, when you feel that way about someone and you see them differently to how maybe other people see them, or, you know, you pick up things that others maybe don't appreciate, and it felt so genuine. Yeah,
it was lush. Their sex scene was unexpected for me.
I didn't think we were going to get any sex scenes.
And I loved it.
Oh, I was like, whoa, okay, this is a bonus.
It was like them though. It was thrown together. It was like, it was a moment of passion, but not like they're not going to regret it the next morning sort of thing, but like that element of like, oh, we've just got tonight sort of thing.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, the bit leg on or off.
I knew it, because I was just about to say the same thing.
So I never knew it would be so hot.
Whatever's best for you.
Ah!
And then when she doesn't, I think she does eventually take it off.
Yes, she does take it off.
But she doesn't to start with. So when he's going down on her, and she like puts her legs over his shoulders, he likes the sensation of one warm and one cold.
One warm and cold.
Why is that hot all of a sudden?
I don't know, but it definitely has something about us. But I don't care what it says about us.
No,
I loved it.
Not at all.
No, I mean, overall, great characterisation. I cannot wait to read Sunbringer.
It's the reunion part I'm just so excited for. Can't wait to see how that goes. A lot of the time, and we've talked about this before, when characters get together, I think we've spoken about the fact that once that slow burn has maybe peaked, things are not as interesting anymore, and we are not as all in.
I understand that, yeah.
But I just don't think I'm going to have that with this, because I can't wait to see them as a couple and
yeah,
how that works.
That reunion. Do you know, I never even considered the reunion of Elo and Kissin. It's for me, it's Inara and Kissin, and Skediseth and Kissin.
I'll be in floods.
Yay! I hope that Hannah doesn't keep us waiting for Sunbringer.
Please don't.
As in,
we won't see
novel.
that. Yeah.
So excited. Let's quickly wrap up, but with Aaron.
Oh, yeah. Discuss Aaron.
What prick. I didn't see it coming. I was not expecting him. He didn't have his own point of view, so I suppose she managed to hide his intentions in that, like, but the betrayal from him to Elagast, just How dare you?
I really liked Aaron when he was first introduced.
Cool king, cool guy.
Really cool king. Came in, he was like friends.
Yeah.
They were
Can I
chatting,
help?
Yeah.
You fucking pretender.
I know. And then he had the moment where he had like kind of struggled with the pain, and you found out, oh, no, what's wrong? You were like, oh, what's wrong with him? Because at the start, actually, I thought there was a little bit of summon between the
Aaron sexual tension, and even in Elo's like sort of flashes back to the war, and the way he speaks about him is this revered sort of like as you would probably speak about somebody as close to you as a lover, and I was like, I don't hate it.
Well, yeah, I definitely thought there was, maybe there hadn't been any sort of romantic relations during the war, but I felt like maybe Elo kind of was like, oh, maybe
held something for him, like a little torch. Yeah,
little torch
for
for
sure.
him.
Love that.
I'm not saying that he didn't, because I don't know. Do we know if Elo is bi?
No, we get confirmation that kissing is.
Yeah.
But we don't get anything from Elo unless we've missed it. It's been a little subtle and we might have missed it. But maybe that is it. Maybe we get that.
It really felt like that.
Oh.
And I was really excited.
Look, yeah, I'm really interested to see how long Aaron lasts in the second book. Obviously, his Seth is gone. His plans for a big fire heart in his chest and almost becoming part god type thing are over. Will we get him? Will we not?
How will the relationship be repaired?
Ooh,
is it as simple as saying that he's just a bad guy now? I don't think so.
I think we've got morally grey for sure, but I'd like to see some sort of, I'm going to say, reasoning.
I don't feel like, well, can't speak for her, but I don't feel like it seems like Hannah's style to be so black and white about things and to think, right, it turns out he's just been bad the whole time.
Yeah,
I don't see that.
I suspect it's going to be through desperation. He's been convinced that this is the way to go, but he's just going to turn around and everything's going to be rosy. He'll have to pay.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he burnt down a whole fucking house and with a bunch of people inside of it. So it is revealed he burns down Inara's
home.
The Kreia house?
Kreia or Kreia, I'm not quite sure.
And, effectively looks like it ends their line. I want him to be a villain, but I want him to be an understandable villain.
And I don't normally. I'm quite happy for people to just be bad. If that's how you are, that's how you are. But I just don't think it would suit in this book because all the other characters are so three-dimensional.
Yeah.
That it would be strange to have Aaron have, there's no reason why he did what he did. Because I can't imagine that Elo would have cared for him so much if it was clear that he was always just going to betray everyone.
A big shitbag.
Yeah, I can't see that. Because he seems like a very good judge of character.
Final thoughts?
Would you recommend it to a friend?
I would recommend this to people walking past me on the street that have not even looked at me. This is up there with Black Sun for me. Yeah, 5 stars. Sorry, I know we don't. I know we don't rate. It's just
we don't rate unless we've got some really strong positive opinions, right?
Yep. What about you?
For me, it wasn't as strong as Black Sun.
Okay.
But it was still it was a really, really good book, and it was just so. I've said it already, but I can't think of another word for it. It was just so masterfully done. It was so short for a fantasy.
Yeah.
But absolutely nothing was missing. It didn't detract from anything. It didn't feel rushed. Everything was really well fleshed out. And we've talked about you being the more of the character person and me being the setting person.
Yep.
But for me, the characters were all just 10 out of 10. Every single character, I was like, yep, I'm happy for this person's POV. Because when you have multiple POVs,
yeah, there's one that you're like, oh fuck's sake.
Yeah.
No, it was really spread out really well, and I think we only got a little couple, just as like a teaser from like Skedaseth, a little less few from Inara, I felt as well. And at some point I was like, where's kissing? Not like that I was like, get out of the way, guys, but I was just, I feel like, it was done, it wasn't like it was kissing, Elo, Inara. It didn't feel like that.
What I think I liked about it as well, for that reason, was that they were all in the same place.
Yes.
So even if you were maybe in Eligast POV, Kissing was still you were still hearing about what Kissing was up to.
Yeah, we heard about all of them through each other's, and that, if anything, tightened the bond between them.
Yes.
Books that, if you like this, you'll like this. I would say probably, if you're looking for a strong female character, Enchantress by James Maxwell, that whole series, I think it's called the Everyman Saga. Or if you're looking for big fantasy, The Assassin's Apprentice, the Farseer trilogy by Robin Hobb. Anything by Robin Hobb, if you're looking for this kind of fantasy.
Quest element to it?
I mean, yeah. Look, if you're really looking for quest, Belgaria by David Eddings, and I will tell everybody that until I die. But yeah, I mean, the Robin Hobbs are absolute classics. She writes so well. What about you?
Green Rider by Kristen Britton.
Oh, Carrigan.
Carrigan, strong.
She's a badass. Different to Kissing, but definitely strong in her own right. Great recommendation.
We love a strong female character.
That we fucking do. Let's try and wrap this up professionally.
Yeah, we have to get to the admin part of it now. So if you don't want to hear this bit, feel free to just say...
Oh, it's 30 seconds. Right, so you can always email us on pageturnerspod@gmail.com. I probably got that wrong. We are on Instagram as pageturnerspod. We are on TikTok and we have just hit over 100 followers. Yay!
Thank you.
Every single one of you has to listen to the podcast and we'll be fine. So that is Page Turner's Pod as well. And the Patreon.
We have a Patreon.
And we've just finished recording an hour-long special episode for it. So, I mean...
full of...
It's a fever dream of smut.
It's smut in the absolute sense of the title. It really lives up to its name and you know what you're going to get when you go in.
100%. We've got a link.
No holds barred conversation about...
everything everyone loves about smut.
Yeah.
We'll throw a link in our Instagram link tree. I mean, if you just search Page Turner's A Bookish Podcast on Google, put Patreon at the end of it because Patreon's search term is terrible. Mm-hmm. But yes, next week, strap in for the official first mini-sode of the podcast. We're going to be talking all about book slumps.
Yep, how you get into them, how you get out of them.
What we do, what you can do.
Mm-hmm.
It's a nice little extra episode. It's only about half an hour long, so it's a bit shorter than our other ones, but it's jam-packed full of fun.
We really enjoyed recording it. We hope you guys enjoyed listening to it.
We did too.
Please come and say hi to us on all our different social media. We'd love to
drop us a message. It's just the two of us. Nobody else does it, obviously, because we're very small. But, it is us you're talking to. And do we want to say what's coming in 2 weeks' time?
Oh, yeah, let's see.
So, we are going to be reading A Fate Inked in Blood by Danielle L. Jensen. We are staying firmly in the fantasy camp. Amy started reading it and was like, we have to do this.
We have to do it.
It's so good. So anyone who is a fan of the Bridge Kingdom,
Smashing Duology, if you haven't read them.
Oh, have and fucking love them. Get on it, guys. And we will see you, for Book Slumps next week and then A Fate Inked in Blood in 2 weeks' time. Happy reading, guys.
Bye!